Hello guys, it's Uchimano here, and on today's video I'll be showing you guys how to draft a regular Oxford shoe. Now an Oxford shoe is kind of a formal dress shoe, right? Formal dress shoe. Now an Oxford shoe, it's a lot of people confuse Oxford shoe and derby shoe. Now Oxford shoes have one typical difference from a derby shoe. Oxford shoe have this closed list impression, right? It has this closest impression, whereas on a derby shoe it has an open lace, right? You can see these are the lace holes and they are open, they can easily be separated, while on an Oxford shoe you can't easily separate them because they are both joined at this end, right? And an Oxford shoe, the van part of the shoe, which is this part of the shoe, is directly on top of the quarter part of the shoe. The quarter part of the shoe is the part of the shoe that has the eyelet holes, while on derby shoes you can see the quarter part of the shoe, as you can see, is directly on top of the vamp, right? So now on this video I'll be showing you guys how to properly and professionally draw an Oxford shoe like this, right? So if that's something you like to know, kindly click the follow button, and if you're new to the channel, kindly click the subscribe button and turn on your notification, because you'll be seeing a lot of amazing content like this. Now let's get into the video. Now first of all, you want to tape your last, completely tape your last, just like as I did. Completely tape your last, separating the last from the center, right? Separating the last from the center. Now the idea of separating the last from the center is because we believe the last is a bit symmetrical, so whatever we're doing on this side, we're also doing it on this side, right? Instead of wrapping the last in full and drafting similar thing on this side and also on this side, we also wrap in full and also do the same thing here. So we are demarcating the last from the center, right? Separating the outer part of the last from the inner part of the last, and also doing the same thing for the back. Once we're done with that, we mark our widest point of the last, which is called the ball point of the last. Now this is the ball point of the last. Now on every foot there's a ball around the index toe, right? Around the index toe, and also on the thumb. Now those balls are the widest point on the foot. Now on this last, these are where the widest point of this last is. As you can see, it's very visible. These are the widest point, but we can't know the exact point of those widest points unless we take proper step. Now to check the widest point of this last, you place your last on a flat surface and mark the point where the last make contact with the flat surface, right? And do the same thing on the other side of the last. Now once that is done, the next thing to do is to join those two widest points. Now to join those two widest points, we use our measuring tape and connect the both widest point. So from this side, we drag it and connect it to this other side. Now in doing that, you also want to ensure that your measuring tape is very comfortable on the last, right? So you want to have something like this. It's your measuring tape is very comfortable, very sleek on the last. You don't want to have spacing around the measuring tape, right? This spacing, so you want to ensure that it's very comfortable on the last. Then you draw your line. Now normally if this last was wrapped on both sides, this drawing will go all the way to this other side, but since the wrapping of the last was just done on one side, we are drawing just on one side. And once we're done with that, next thing is to locate our back height. Now the back height for a standard size 44 is around once we've gotten our back height for our size 44, now this new point will be joined to this line, okay? This new point, or this back height point, will be joined to this line. Now where exactly are we joining it on the line? That will be your question. Now what you do is you get your measuring tape and you check the length of the line. So you check the length of the line, you start your measuring tape from 0 directly on the line, right? And check it directly on this part of the measure of the paper tape, right? So here we got 8.5. Now when you divide 8.5 by 2, you should have 4.25. Now you're just going to locate 4.25 on your measuring tape, right? Now this marked point will be connected to this back point. All right, this new marked point to be connected to this back point. Now when connecting this, one thing you want to take note of is your positioning of your measuring tape. Now when you position your measuring tape, you try as much as possible to position your measuring tape in such a way that this line on your measuring tape is directly in line with your this paper tape. Okay, so we want to have something like this, something looking like this, right? So we connect it, holding the measuring tape on this side, right? So we're not get something like this, all right? So we're gonna get something like this: back checked, line checked. Now this line is called your top line. All right, this is called the top line. This is called the vamp line. Now remember I said if this last was wrapped on both sides, this line will go to the other side of the last as well. Now when it goes to the other side, we'll have something like a cross, right? So we have the center and we also have this line. Now this point, this center of this cross is called our vamp point, which is this point here. It's called our vamp point. So I'm just going to label it VP. So it's called our vamp point. Okay, now once we've gotten our top line, we've gotten our vamp line, the next line we're going to get is our tongue line and our quarter line. Now our tongue line is gotten from 0.5 centimeters away from our instep point. Now this is called our instep point, the point where the last starts from, right? Instep point. This is the first point where the person wearing the shoe is inserting his leg from. So these are instep point. So 0.5 centimeter from our instep point should be around here. Now you can check that using your tape. All right, so I'm just going to check from around here instead of using the 0. So 0.5 instep point. From instep point to 0.5, that's for our tongue line. The next line is what? Our quarter line. Now our quarter line is 1 centimeter from our tongue line and 1.5 centimeter from our instep point. So now that's, if you're measuring from this instep point downward, you should measure 1.5 centimeter. But if you're measuring from the tongue line downward, you're measuring 1 centimeter. Okay, now we want to now draw the line. Now to draw this tongue line and the quarter line, you position your tape in such a way that it forms a 90 degree. Now forming a 90 degree with your tape, this is how it's done. Now this line on your tape, you try to connect it with this line on your paper tape, that's the center of the last. So we'll have something like this, right? So something like this, and you allow the tape to relax freely. Always allow the tape to relax freely on your last. Okay, allow it to relax freely on your last, then you draw. Right now, the idea of the reason why we have to form a 90-degree aligning this line on our center line is because since we are drawing our pattern on one side of the last, that's to say we are trying to, whatever we get on this side, we are replicating it on this other side, right? Whatever we get on this side, we're replicating it on this other side. So everything that is happening here will eventually happen here. So we want to try as much as possible to create that equality. So we're using this line as a guide to create the equality. So it's happening here, it will eventually happen here. So the next one is our tongue line. Now you notice something from the first line that I drew. Now the first line that I drew, now it ended on our top line, right? While the second line that I drew went down to our feather edge. Now the reason is because when we're drawing our vamp, our curve on our vamp, it should end directly on this line. Okay, it should end directly on this line because there is a connection between our vamp and our tongue. So it goes down, and when we're drawing our vamp, it ends on this line. Okay, so it doesn't want to exceed this line, because if there is a counter on our shoe and our counter is coming all the way, so they don't collide at some point, right? They don't collide at some point. So now we've gotten our top line, our vamp line, our tongue line, and our quarter line. Now is to draw all the part of the shoe. Now I want to draw this part of the shoe, this part of the shoe, and maybe draw the counterpart of the shoe too. Now the first one we want to draw is the quarter of our shoe, right? We want to first of all draw the quarter of our shoe. Now to draw the quarter of our shoe, remember I said this is our quarter line. Now we'll be using this quarter line as our guide, right? We'll be using the quarter line as our guide to draw the quarter of our shoe. The top line also stands as a guide when drawing. So when you want to draw your quarter, now you draw your quarter either on this line or below the line, depending on the design of your shoe. Now if your design of your shoe has a curve around this side, right? If it has a curve, a more wider curve around the side that doesn't look straight, you can go below, but on no account should you go above the line, right? Above the line, because going above the line, it's creating discomfort to the person wearing the shoe. Now it is believed that the ankle of the person wearing the shoe falls around here, right? So the top line should be underneath the ankle, right? If it's above the ankle, it's no longer an ankle shoe, right? It becomes a boot, and boots has their own measurement and precaution to take for comfort, right? So we want to draw our quarter now. So we use this line as a guide, bringing it down to this line. right? So we've gotten this. Now next is to get this curve. Next is to get this, sorry, let me just take off the lace. So now next is to get this curve. All right, now to get that curve, you can either use a coin or a small oval object. You can either use a coin or a small oval object, maybe of around this circumference, right? Now you place it on this side and draw out 1/4 of the circumference. So you have something like this. Okay, so we have something like this. Now we've gotten this, the top of our quarter. Now next is to get the bottom part of our quarter, this side of our quarter. Now this is where a lot of shoemakers get it all wrong. Now when trying to draw the bottom part of the quarter, which is also the top of the vamp, this is where they get it all wrong. Now a lot of shoemakers come using this vamp line as a guide and just draw their curve, bringing it all the way down here. Now it doesn't work like that. Okay, it doesn't work like that. Now what you want to do is, now if you try this method, you'll be getting results like this. I'm getting results like this. So here is the center line, right? So here is our quarter, bottom of our quarter, and here we have our vamp all the way to the top. So here we have our quarter coming back to the top line, back height, and this connects, right? So we'll be having something like, if we try this method, this is what we'll be having. Now why is this bad? Now this is bad because our quarter has a pointed bottom. Okay, now if this pointed bottom is replicated on the other side of the shoe, whereas on this other inner side of the shoe, we'll be having something like this, right? We'll be having something like this, which is bad. Now what we want to have is an impression that connects both of them. An impression that connects both of them, something like this. So we want to have an impression like this that just connects, right? Now how are we going to achieve this? Now to achieve this, we use our tape, connect another 90° on this side. Now why we can't use this line is because this line is not a 90°. This line is not a 90°. As you can see, the line on our tape is slanted and entering the other side of the last. So this line is not a 90°, but we have to get it a 90° to be able to get a perfect curve that goes well on the other side. So we want to do this, and then draw down to this point. Okay, down to this point. Now this is a 90°, right? This is a 90°. Now it went down to the vamp point, which was gotten from the widest point of the last, so everything is still okay. But now the line was edited a little bit from the vamp point, it went upward a little bit. Okay, now this is the line we'll be using to draw the bottom part of our quarter. So we're just going to, depending on how your curve is, now from this one you can see that the curve is just a little bit around here, right? Why on the brown one the curve went all the way, right? So I'm just going to be using the curve on maybe the brown one. So the curve started from here, it went, and you just find a way to curve it and align it to this top line. Right, so when it aligns to the top line, you go a little bit, you continue, then it falls then it falls to blend with this line, right? Then it falls to blend with this line. Right? So this is how you get your quarter. Now the vamp is here, the quarter is here. Now this is a standard Oxford shoe. Now if you now have a counter on your design, now the counter is just 1 centimeter or 1.5 centimeter from the center, right? Depending on the width of how you want the width of your counter to be. 1 centimeter from here, so you can just have 1 centimeter from here, and whenever you have 1 centimeter from here, you have 1 centimeter from the top line down to where the curve should start covering. Then it comes down to this line. Then connects. Right? Now, if you have your toe cap or your wingtip, now this is how you get your toe cap or your wingtip. Toe cap and wingtip have similar measurements, but they are just they have similar measurements, which I'm just going to show you. Right now, to get the length of your toe cap, now toe cap length differs as size differs. Now if you're making a size 44, the length of your toe cap will be completely different from the length of a size 40. The same goes to a size 47 or size 50, right? So to get the length of your toe cap, you check the length of your last, right? Check the length of your last, then divide it by 4. Now check the length of your last. You measure your last from the center here, right, down to the toe. So here we have 32.5, right? Now when you do 32.5 divide by 4, 32.5 divided by 4, 32 first of all divided by 4 should give us 8, right? Is it 8? I have no mathematics. All right, so 4, 4, 16, 4, 4, 8, 8, 16, 16. Yeah, 8. So 32 divided by 4 will give us 8. Now we have 8. Now the 0.5. The 0.5 now should give us 1.25. 0.5 divided by 4 should give us 0.125, which is 8.125. Okay, so this, I think this should be correct, 8.125. So now 8.125, like that's approximately 8. So our toe cap will be 8 centimeters or 8.1 centimeters. So our toe cap will be starting from here, 8 centimeters. Now to draw our toe cap, we still place our tape 90 degree or perpendicular to the center of the last, right? So place it like this and draw our toe cap. Okay, and draw a toe cap, right? So now if you want to draw a wingtip, now to draw a wingtip, you divide. Now this is our wingtip. These are wingtip. So wingtip are like this. Toe cap are wingtip are like this. Toe cap are like this. Right? Now the height of your wingtip, that's the height of this curve, divided by 2. That's where your toe cap should fall from. Okay, so if I want to get a wingtip now from this, and I say the height of my curve is around 2 centimeters, or let me say 3 centimeters. So let me say the height of my curve is around 3 centimeters. So like this, 3 centimeters. So my curve should be starting from here, and the tip of my curve should be from here, right? My curve should be starting from 3 bottom, and the tip of my curve should be 0 here. So the toe cap here is 1.5. That's division by 2 of 3, right? So we want to now draw stopping down at 3. It comes and has a curve wherever, and has a curve wherever. So we want to have something like this. In most cases, it usually passes through this point, but that's not necessary because it depends on how close your curve is. So sometimes your curve might be around here and they will be broken. So you want to create a distance between your wingtip and your quarter, right? So we'll have something like this. So if you find this video interesting and you like to see the part 2 of how I brought this out and pivoted it or created it into a 3D pattern, right, into a 3D pattern, kindly leave the word part 2 in the comment section and I'll sure make a video for you. Thank you guys for watching. Now see you guys on next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also share this video to 1 or 2 persons that might find it interesting. Bye.